I was sitting there and I got an email from you saying you've been approved. And
Yep.
I was like, crap. I have to publish it and people are going to read it. And for me, it was, like I said, I love to tell stories.
Yeah.
But I hate being judged based off my stories. And so the idea of some random person having the ability to Google me and find my book and read through it and judge me based off of the decisions I made in my gap year kind of thing, and the stories that I wrote, I was like, I'm not ready to do this.
Review. So we talked
The book was my best friend's gap year. We ironically ended up taking one together, although it was not on purpose. I was talking to her about it. And
About her story or about your book?
about the book.
Yeah.
And was basically saying, and this was before I even knew that I had been accepted to publish. But I was having second thoughts even before I turned it in.
Yeah.
And was asking her, like, if I changed your name, how comfortable would you feel having this thing on a piece of paper that other people can read?
Yep.
And she basically said exactly what I feared, which is I don't think I would be comfortable. And it's because in the moment she was happy to tell me the story, and like I knew the whole story because I lived it with her.
Right.
But even my best friend, who I've been friends with since I was 4, was a little like taken back by it. And that was what my hesitation was for my own stories. And I was sitting there thinking that like I don't want to put her in the position where she has to tell me whether or not I can put this in my book.
Right.
And I was thinking about all the other people that I didn't know as well as I knew.
Sure.
And would they want me to put their very personal stories on a shelf? And that's when I started to think about being judged and them being judged and like it just all unraveled basically.
You set out to write a book before even meeting me, right? And then this random thing happened, and then you sort of the choice became like more apparent, right? It wasn't like maybe I'm going to write a book, but it's like you're writing a book, and then it's a choice of do you publish the book. So I think that like you should give it time, and I think you should go back to all of these people and basically tell them like where you are, because what I think will happen actually is I think that if I were in your shoes, what I would do at some point, and I'll again, like, you know, I'm a persistent MF, so I'm going to keep harassing you on this one, but I think you should send them the chapters that are about you, like your introduction, which I think tells your story, and send them theirs and say, listen, I'm, you know, at some point I'm contemplating publish. I've been approved to publish, but I haven't decided whether to go forward with it. I'd love your thoughts and see what they think about it. Because I think that you may have picked a biased, you may have basically biased yourself by talking to your best friend, and to sort of have her evaluate it in the context of her story, not your story and her story, right? Because I think that that's part of this. Is I think that there's a technical term of this that's like a psychological term where we have a hard time, so if you ask someone, there's an experiment that was sort of done. They basically asked people in advance, I'm going to give you, I want you to go out to strangers, and I want you to ask them to borrow their phone to make a call to someone. Right? So that was this test. So they said, I want you have 30 minutes to go do this experiment, whatever it was. And the first question they asked them is, and again, just like a 1-minute phone call, and they had some, you're going to call the laboratory, you're a student, whatever it is, that sort of thing. So the question they asked is like, how many, they asked the people before they started, how many people are you going to have to ask before they wind up giving you their phone? So they wanted you to get 3 people to say yes to make a phone call. So I'll ask you the question. If I put you out in the middle of, downtown DC, and I gave you that assignment, how many people do you think you'd have to ask before you could get 3 people to say yes?
Oh, probably like 30, 40.
So the average number that people guessed on that one was 12. It actually took less than 5 on average.
Really?
Yes. And the reason is exactly what you have going on in your head, is that you have projected what other people will say based on what you think you would say. But if the things were flipped, you sort of almost hinted at this. If someone said to you, hey, Grace, I'd like to put your story in my book, you were like, yeah, I'd probably be okay with that. So you see, you sort of done the exact same thing. And it's normal that we do it. But I think that you should actually put this to the test and see, right? You did one person and she said she wasn't comfortable with it. I would try it again. Not that to try it, but to say, listen, I'm just, I'm recapping on my process. I wanted to at least share what I wrote with you. Share it, and then I want to share my introduction on what I wrote. I'm not going to publish it at this point, but I wanted to share it with you and get your feedback on it. Do the same with some of these other people in there and just see. And not because you have to do anything with it, other than like, I think for you to sort of like wrap on this one, you have to not publish because of the actual reason you said, which is the reason you said was that other people wouldn't want it. And I think maybe they would. And I actually think that if you got enough people saying like, this is awesome, I want you to publish this, or I want this to go out there, it may change. Now, again, like you may still decide not to do it, but I think at least for you to sort of put a bow on this one and tie it, that like, I did this experience, there's this sort of piece of this, which is your openness of like giving this at least to this pool of people that's not just you. And not that I'm not expecting you to change your mind. I just think that I'm not even hoping actually. I think that what the trick in all of this is I think you owe it to the people that you interviewed. We talked